Shalom everyone, this is Melek Shalamah of Melek Shalamah Capital LLC, and today I'm gonna do a trade recap. Today is the 16th of June 2026 and it's 11:56 a.m. Alright, so we're gonna start with the Wyckoff daily chart, and I'm gonna point out here this candle was at the time of the RTH open, it was like about a 24-point range in the ETA session, so it's a narrow candle, still a narrow candle today. We're getting buying support at the buying climax and the value area high, monthly value area high, which is let's open this up. All right, so we have value area high, the monthly value area high at 76.1150. Buying climax is at 76.0250, right? So you see we have a buying wick right there. As we test below the buying climax, we have buyers, right? In the prior day's candle, compared to this selling candle here, we have sellers that initiated from this day right here. We have sellers on the prior day as well taking profit, right? So we see wicks of evidence of sellers taking profit. This is also the buying climax. Sellers took profit in this region here. So from around this area to around this area right here, sellers can be active, right? So right now we're getting kind of a doji candle, right? Sellers are kind of displaying dominance, right? So basically, what the thesis for today was sellers could establish dominance around these areas if we tested up on these areas at 76.47, 76.50, around that area right there at yesterday's high. So I'm looking for buyers to either take control, try and push us up to the uptrust level and break out, as I said in my prior video, or we'd get a test up at this level here, and then we get a breakdown, probably push down to monthly POC, right? Or I guess it could just consolidate around this area and try and gain acceptance above the buying climax. So with that thesis in mind, right, I was looking for my Black Sun strategies, or basically a 360 fire strategy, which is I'm going to explain what that is right now. These are the trades I took. Is basically a short continuation. So this is, let's see, this is the ETH session on Bookmap here, right? Let's expand this a little bit. Right, so the ETH session saw minimal buying, right? As I said before, it's roughly like a 24-point range from the high, the ETH high to the ETH low. And we have buyers kind of initiating here around 8 o'clock, right? I guess they initiated around 6 to around 8. So buyers took control. We had some profit taken into the RTH open, and that's how we started the RTH open, with sellers basically in control, and then we had a big buyer right here, right? So let's open this up a little bit. So my thesis was, I'm looking for two things today. It's either a Black Sun strategy where we come up to Camarilla R3 and we get a distribution pattern and it fits my criteria, where we get a big buyer like this. Let me start using these arrows. We get a big buyer and a big selling response, right? So that's basically my trigger to enter a trade, right? Buyers that are aggressive into liquidity or into certain upper deviations cannot push past that level, and we get an immediate selling response, right? So let's see here. Right, so we were looking for something like that. Maybe we get aggressive buyers at the open, we push up to Camarilla R3, and then we look for like a short entry, right? Now the second thesis is a 360 fire strategy where sellers immediately take control at the RTH open, right? And this is more valid in this setup here today. All right, let me just open this up a little bit. Let's go to the RTH open. All right, so this is the RTH open. We have immediate sellers taking profit from around this area here where buyers tried to take control. We have sellers taking control, immediate sellers right here in this region. All right, let me use this arrow. Sellers taking control, but price action is actually moving up. So buyers are actually absorbing these sellers right here as price action starts to move up. So buyers start to dominate. We have this buyer here and we have another buyer right here, right? So the selling response, this is what I was talking about in my entry triggers, right? But this has to happen at a certain level. Like if this happened at Camaria R3, these are kind of like my triggers. Big buyer, big selling response, right? So for the 360 fire strategy, I want sellers to take control, right? Push price down. We get a retracement of VWAP, right? That's that green line. And then I get my sell entry around these levels, right? So let me further explain here, right? So buyers try to take control. We get sellers responding heavily, right? But it's still consolidating around VWAP. They haven't pushed price down. They're attempting to take control, but they haven't really broken VWAP. At this point, they break VWAP. We have buyers respond, push price up to the first upper deviation, and also note that we have heavy liquidity on the offer, right? So buyers are not even getting to this point where they could actually attempt to take on this liquidity, right? So sellers are looking dominant, right? Keeping price down. Buyers trying to regain after hitting this first lower deviation twice. Buyers attempt to regain. Did not get up to the liquidity. This liquidity pulled, but we didn't get up to the liquidity on the offer. So we run into volume point of control right here, right? That's 76.34. That's that light blue line right there, right? Still a little battle right there between buyers and sellers. Nobody is really dominant at this point, but it's looking like sellers are dominant because buyers are not getting to attack the offer, right? So we have sellers take control here. We break down VPOC, we break VWAP, we get a retracement. Buyers retraced into VWAP, exhaustion right there, selling response. This is not really a trade entry right here because the selling response is very small. This could actually just have been like a little small retracement. Buyers take it from VWAP and attack these levels, right? So now that we see sellers are actually taking control, because this is the initiation of looking for the 360 fire strategy, right? So at this point, sellers are taking control. What time is it? It's around 9:55, right? Sellers are taking control. They push price down to around 76.2275, which is the ETH value area high, right? So we have a response here, and this is one of my first mistakes, right? So I'm basically selling in the hole right here, right? So we get a retracement. This right here was a really bad entry because it didn't really fit any of my criterias. The only thing it came back to the value area high, my value area high full session from yesterday, but it's a heavy buying response, right? This is not low volume retracement. This is high volume. We have a support, liquidity. We push up. We have no selling response. I enter a short trade here, and basically it goes in my favor a little bit. Buyers, the sellers got absorbed. We come back up here and it takes me out, right? So I get stopped out, I think around here. Where is it? Right, so I get stopped out right here, right? So that was a bad entry. moving forward, looking for the setup again. So I'm looking for a retracement into -1 VWAP or VWAP or +1 VWAP, right? So looking for the retracement, the volume is falling off a little bit here in this retracement. This retracement is looking cool. We get a nice buying push above VWAP, right? If I had like a major selling response here comparative to this, like this is 672 delta on the buy side. If I had like about 300, 200 response right here, this could have been a sell entry. No selling response really, just like a small retracement below VWAP, not taking that trade. So that was a good decision. Moving across here, we have that consolidation above VWAP, right? That's VWAP right there. Again, let me use the arrows. That's VWAP. That's VPOC right there, right? So we have this consolidation. We have a seller trying to establish dominance here. Pushes us lower. We have a retracement. Sellers on the top right here. So that shows buyers are being absorbed. Sellers establish control again, and we start pushing down, right? So at this point now, it's time to look for another retracement, right? This one right here, this is a little low volume response, right? We have a little low volume bias right here into -1 VWAP. This aligns with the full session value area high. This would have been a good entry. I missed this one right here. This was a little too quick for me, and I missed this one, right? So sellers take control. That would have been a nice entry right there. 3-point stop. No dice, didn't take that. So we got the breakdown, right? So that broke down from around, let's say, 76.26.75 to basically 76.13, right? So that would have been a good trade. Missed that one, right? So now we have another retracement here. This isn't really low volume retracement, so didn't take this one, right? We push up here, we push above. This is -2 VWAP. We didn't get to -1 VWAP, so it's no trade right there. The retracement is it didn't get to certain levels, right? Which is my -1 deviation. That's part of my criteria. It didn't get there, so waiting again, letting this trade play out, letting the sellers establish their dominance. But I'm looking for the retracement, right? So now we start to get the retracement. Sellers are getting absorbed a little bit. We have some buyers here, right? The buying is right here. This is low volume retracements in the buying. So I'm starting to look right here for another trade entry. So I took this entry here. The problem with this entry is it is not in line with the -1 VWAP, right? It hasn't gotten up there yet. And basically there is no real pivot level. Now, I use Camarilla pivots and I use value areas. So the ETH value area low is all the way up here in line with the -1 VWAP deviation, right? So this is a premature entry. I should have waited for this to move higher, right? Plus there is no real buy trigger to a sell trigger, right? Like this right here, we want to see more of a buying push that gets absorbed, or there is exhaustion after the buyers exert themselves, right? So obviously this one got stopped out as well, right? Buyers push up here, right? Got stopped out here again. This was a better entry, but there is no real sell trigger here, right? There is a buyer pushing into this first upper deviation. We're getting some exhaustion here. We have liquidity on the offer, but sellers have not established any real response right here, right? This, let's see this, let me see if I can open this up. So you can see that's only 6 sellers right there, delta. So this is a bad entry right here. We need big buyers and a good selling response. Even this doesn't qualify. This is big buyers, but this is below 100 contracts in selling response, right? So this one took that trade entry right here, got stopped out here, right? So now we're pushing above. We're pushing above this first lower deviation, right? I get stopped out. We have big buyers pushing in. This is VWAP right here, right? So we have buyers pushing up. We're starting to get some buying exhaustion. We have the selling response, right? So let me just point this out again. This is my triggers. We're looking for the buyers to exert themselves. We have 222 contracts right here buying delta. We start to get exhaustion. And then we have 229 as a response sellers, right? This is happening below VWAP. We have London value area low right here. That's our retest level. Enter this trade here at 76.1850, right? Right, so let's see what happens now. So we have sellers establishing dominance, right? And I was a little late to this trade too. I should have taken this entry right here, so my stop could have been at least above this exhaustion level right here, right? As you see, this stop loss was here, just at that level, right? You want to be above that level a little bit, right? Just structure wise. So took this entry right here at 76.1850. Sellers still in control. Low volume response from the buyers. We start a breakdown first, lower deviation, right? Sellers establishing dominance, 222 contracts, 159, 188, right? So we run into a little a bid right here. We get low volume response from the buyers. Sellers still establishing dominance in this area. We have a buyer trying to take us up, only 95 contracts into this first upper deviation. Sellers respond. Buyers attempt again. Less volume, 60 on this one, 63, 134, right? So the sellers establish dominance again. We start a move down. We're still getting tests of this first lower deviation right here. Wait, hold on. Let me just do this real quick. All right. So it's rotating at this first lower deviation here, right? Rotating. We're getting buyers pushing above again. We get another trigger right here, right? So we have 122 contracts and we have 174 as the response, right? So this right here is basically, if I wanted to, I could add to the trade, but it's basically testing the entry level. So not really gonna add to the trade at that point, just waiting for the trade to actually go into profit and probably get my first partial. That's what I'm waiting for, right? So this shows that the trade is still valid. Sellers start to take control again. We consolidate at first lower deviation again. Sellers establish dominance, and we hit my first partial here at 76.1050, right? My trailing stop gets activated. My trailing stop moves down to this level. I think I'm trailing by 6 points, right? So we get a retracement. Buyers just off of this bid right here. This is monthly value area high, so we're retesting that. Higher time frame buyers are going to try and probably support that, try and keep us out of the monthly value area high area, right? Buyers respond, push up again, right? Exhaustion, buyers are exhausted, sellers respond, push us down, right? So now that we get down to this level, we're getting to the central pivot level. There was a single print here as well that needs to be filled. So sellers push down. We get a bounce here at the central pivot level around 76.05, 75. We get the sellers exhausted at 76.0650. We push back up and my trailing stop gets taken out, right? So that's basically my trades for today. And I hope I was clear in explaining how the 365 strategy works. Let me just go over that real quick again. At the RTH open, I'm looking for sellers to establish dominance. and I'm trying to get involved in the continuation short at VWAP or -1 VWAP, right? Sometimes it would actually go to +1 VWAP, right? So I'm looking for the VWAP and the -1 VWAP to align with certain levels like London value area low, ETH value area low, the value area high, the full session value area high from yesterday, right? So we're looking for those retracements to line up with VWAP and VPOC sometimes, right? For us to get the continuation short. So that's where this trade here, which was the profitable trade, was this one, right? So this one here was the trade. These trades here are premature trades. These trades shouldn't have been taken because they didn't fit the criteria properly. You could actually see now that I'm zoomed out, you can see the buyers, sell in response, good entry, and then you get the take profit, right? In this area here, all you see is like some sellers, but you don't really see the buy and push, and then the buyers actually come in and start taking me out of these trades, right? So these trades, I need to be more patient, wait on this trade to set up properly like this, right? And honestly, I'm a little rusty coming back to the trading desk right now, so you know, these little mistakes, I gotta iron this out, and yeah, just get prepared for getting back into the real groove of things, right? So reading order flow is like riding a bike. You kind of have muscle memory, but yet still you have to practice, you have to keep it going. So it's like, how could I say it? You have to renew your skills basically, right? So when you have the skill, but you have to use the skill, or you start losing the skill basically. So right now that I'm a little rusty, I'll make these little mistakes, right? And that's why I'm trading sim right now, because I know I'm gonna make these little mistakes. I'm not gonna take the trigger entries as soon as they happen, right? Now back to the first trigger entry right here. Where was it? The one that I missed. And I don't want to make this video too long. Let me just start wrapping this up real quick. Let's see, where is it? Right, so this one right here. Was it this one? Was it this one? I think one of them I actually mentioned, but you could go back in the video. I don't think I could really point it out. All right, so it gotta be before this entry right here. Right, so this one here was a valid, I think this was a valid entry right here, right? Because we had like the buyers low volume retracement, and we started get the sellers taking control right here. And now in hindsight, I would say probably not as well, because there's not enough buyers to sell a response, because it's low volume. You're not really getting a real buyer push, right? They could always reestablish themselves here after this, and buyers could start really coming in with like 300 contracts, right? So I would say nah, I would just pass on this as well, right? So yeah, that was my breakdown right there. Getting back to the trading desk, a little rusty, and you know, we're gonna iron out the kinks and journal these trades and make sure we improve on the next day, right? So today was basically a little impatience, not waiting on the perfect triggers, and that's why I got stopped out a couple times, right? So yeah, that was the 365. Melek, Shalamah, and y'all trade safe and stay blessed. Shalom.